Hello, I'm Ben Self, and I'm from Ben Self Productions, and today we are interviewing Tom Steinbeck, which he likes being called Swede Steinbeck. And how old were you when you rode horses?
Oh, I was 5 years old. I got my first pony.
And tell us about your family history.
It dates back to the Civil War times. Southern plantation owners that lost their slaves, so they'd pay to replace their slaves. They got paid Swedes to come over to pay their passage to come over to the States, and they had to work a year to pay for their passage, and that's how my great-grandfather and his family got over here. Half the kids were born in Sweden, and half of them were born here after he arrived here in the States. And the southern plantation owner, the Swedes had never seen a mule before. And my great-grandfather, he trained horses and broke horses in Sweden to jump in rowboats. They're kind of big scows like they had on the rivers over here. They rode them. And the animals would jump in there to go to the island. There's an island off of Sweden, about 3/4 of a mile from mainland. I've been there. It's real pretty, rocky, and a lot of pine trees. It reminds me of Black Hills of South Dakota. Anyway, he'd train them animals to jump in that boat so they could be rowed across to the mainland or vice versa. So he comes over here. And when he got to the States, the Swedes had never seen a mule before, and a lot of them were balky, and so my great-grandfather was good at taking the balkiness out of them. He'd use a tug strap with a chain on the back, on the end of it, and then crack them in the pasture and make them move. So all he had to do after they got through them was rattle a log chain or tug chain, and they were off, and they weren't balky. So this plantation owner started buying up balky mules because he's making good money. My great-grandfather taking the balkiness out of them. So finally, towards the end of the year, this plantation, they call owner, told my granddad, they called big mules sugar mules at that time. He said, you can have them 2 sugar mules to go west. If you break them, and I'll give them to you. So he did. Well, he's talking to this other Swede that he was going to take him west with him. And the other Swede said, I don't think so. I seen him showing those mules to a mule buyer the other night. So my great-grandfather didn't want to lose them, so they took off in the middle of the night with the mules, and not a cent to their name. They started doing dray work with those mules. Then they heard that they needed teams up in Michigan logging in the wintertime because they don't do it in the summertime. And then the wife and the daughters, the firstborn were daughters, so they were teenagers. Then she had a cook tent, so she had had a smorgasbord about every meal, and all the other lumberjacks liked her food, and they ate there, and she made good money in that cook tent. And then they come to Omaha, and him and another bunch of contractors got the contract to grade the railroad from Omaha to Sioux City, and they graded the railroad into Sioux City in 1867. And that's how we wound. They liked Sioux City, and that's how we wound up in Sioux City.